So, what we are going to discuss now is a problem related to waste management. Okay. So, we have about 2 hours almost, or 1.5, like 11:15. Okay. So, I have a case study here, like, and what we can do is should be more interactive in the sense, like, as I said, like, it's not going to be a talk or presentation, one-way presentation. Please participate so that the overall outcome would be better. Yeah. So, I'll tell you what we have done, like, and when we met on the first day, I told you the aim of this center is to try and do some social interventions where somehow they are not market driven. So, I will probably elaborate that further. So, when I say market driven, what does it mean? Like, it means that market always drives innovation. Like, so for a particular product, there is a demand. Okay, for example, iPhone, rather, like, there is always a requirement for improvement, and there is a force from market, and accordingly the innovators would work, or the industry would work, corporates would work, and come up with new products. Okay, so it gives some challenge to technology, right? So that's the way normally it's like a business as usual. Okay, that's the reason, like, we have so many technological developments that have happened in the past, and probably India is not really leading in that space. But then there is another space which is so called not market driven. Okay, not market driven means there are some areas which are, I would say, a bit neglected, because there is no pressure from the consumer. Okay, when I say consumer, a consumer who has buying power, right? Because, like, if I don't have money, I can't put pressure, okay, on an innovator. Like, I can't. So it's like I am not a real consumer. The consumer is somebody who has money and is ready to buy stuff, right, for better quality, for better service, or whatever, right? And that's the reason there is so much pressure on innovators. As I said, that's a business as usual. But there is area where consumer is weak, and he is not putting pressure on the market, right? And that is the area in which the center wants to focus, and it's really challenging. Like, market is not driving your innovation, then who will take it forward, right? So, one of those areas is waste management. Okay, as you can see, like, are there any big corporates involved in waste management? If it was really market driven, then like, you would have Ambani's, Tata's would be working in this area, right, doing some business. But that's not happening, rather. Like, but is it a less important area? Of course not, right? But unfortunately, government has to do it, and the government has its own limitations. Okay, like, there are many areas in which it has to really use its resources, and it's not so easy, rather. So, can technology and design do something in this? Okay, that is what we want to look at. But when I say technology and design, I don't want to start with say Newton's law or whatever, right? Okay, because we have to start with a need first. We need to understand the problem and then see whether technology can contribute in this, right? So, that's how we want to approach this problem, and that's the tone of this presentation. So, I have 3 presentations, or other one minute. The 3 parts actually. So, I will tell you about how we started working on this problem. Okay. So, we will tell you the bigger problem of waste management, especially in cities, right. Then I will tell you more specifically on, it's a big problem, there are so many components of waste. So, I will talk more about garden waste, okay, which is also a big component of the municipal solid waste that we see, right. And there are many other projects going on in the center, but I will focus attention on garden waste, that is one component of municipal solid waste. And then I will again take you to another problem of agro waste, which has nothing to do with municipal solid waste, but whatever solutions, technology or design solutions that we are developing for garden waste, they are applicable to agro waste as well, and there is a possibility that we can use the outcome of this problem, okay, or the solution to this problem to agro waste, which is even a big problem, okay, right. So, so that is the overall picture of this entire presentation, the next almost 1.5 hours, okay, and let us first look at the municipal solid waste problem, okay. The picture here is of IIT campus, I will come to that soon, and the other picture is a gasifier which we have developed as a solution to garden waste, okay. Now, I am not, so as I said, like the title says the waste management of IIT Bombay campus. Now you may say like why IIT Bombay campus, why not Mumbai city and all. So it is like this, if you want to come up with some solutions and demonstrate that something is really working on field, you have to do a pilot, okay, and actually convince the stakeholders that there is really a potential, okay, to do it, right. So we thought why not take IIT Bombay campus itself as a test bed, okay, and work on it. So if I am able to demonstrate that in IIT Bombay it is a zero waste campus, that means we are not letting any waste go out of the campus, then that becomes a nice case study and we know what it needs, right. So that is the aim with which we started few years back. I am going to present some analysis, and of course I am not going to tell you the development on each and every project under this, I am going to talk about only garden waste. Okay. Now before that, now if you look at India, so this problem is huge, you have so much waste being generated. Now in Mumbai city, it is about, just to keep that number like very easy to remember, it is about 10,000 tons per day, okay, slightly less than that, but that much solid waste is generated every day, okay. The huge potential if really want to valorize it, if you want to get some value out of it, right. So there are many cities, especially the metros, as you see, this is the range in which, so we have different cities, towns, villages, okay, they are generating waste, but they have their own problems, and it is not just a problem of cities, maybe we can discuss this separately, but waste management, most of the time people say that it is the problem of urban part of India, but it is not that actually. So there are issues in villages as well, relatively less severe, okay. But what I want to tell you here is that because of the nature of our country, okay, we have so much variation in terms of population, lifestyle, whatever, right, and because of that the problems are different, right, okay. So the solution, the waste management solution that I give for Mumbai city may not be the same as that for any town in say Karnataka, Tamil Nadu or wherever, right. So we have, so it's not a kind of one solution to the problem, okay, so that we should keep in mind, okay. So we have to come up with a protocol. Suppose somebody asks me, okay, fine, I want to make Nasik city waste free, okay, right. So I have to go and study it first. I can't say that, okay, fine, you do this, it can't be an algorithm, okay. So the city has its own problems. So that is one thing. So we have every city, so what is going to come out? It is not a solution, it is going to, it's a protocol that is going to come out, okay. It is a method that is going to come out, okay. So what we do for IIT Bombay, at some point of time, we want to make this campus waste free, okay. It will happen, but that does not mean that we have found a solution, okay. The method that we followed is something that is important, okay. You have to go through that method for every other city, okay. So that is to be kept in mind, right. And then you have, now again the people ask, say this question like how come Europe, like city like Amsterdam, okay, it is It's a highly populated city in middle of Netherlands, and how are they managing the waste? Okay, right? US problem is different. They're dumping. They have so much dump land. Even sea also, they're dumping their waste. But in Europe, it's highly crowded. It's more like any other city or suburb of Mumbai, right? And it's clean. How are they doing it? Why can't we adopt the same method here? Why can't we replicate it? Any guess? Like why it is not happening? Just wild guess. Like why it's not? If it is already happening somewhere in that part of the world, why we are not able to do it here? No, do it on small scale. Okay, do it on small scale. Lack of spirit. Okay. And so somewhere it is linked with what he said. No, somehow probably we are not much bothered about it, or somehow our system or governing body is not so effective, efficient, and so on. Is that? Many of the countries that the waste has been categorized. They still review from the household. So I think UK should be, but it is not happening. Not happening. Because the categorization of the waste organization is also very difficult when it has been mixed up. Very good. Very good. Yes. Yeah. Any right. So what he says is like he's going one step further, saying that the segregation of the waste is very important, because waste. See, waste is, if it's just one component, right? Then fine, yeah, like we know what to do with it. The problem with waste is that it comes with so many components in it, right? And every component is different. Imagine, no, your own dustbin at your house. What do you dump in that every day? Anything, right? Anything. So now it's like you are increasing the problem of managing the waste, because you are mixing them. Okay. So it's important, like if you have segregation happening, then it's really very easy that you take each component and you know what to do. But that segregation, if it has to happen on a large scale, then there is a problem. That itself becomes a big controlling step. So very good point. Any other reason why we are not able to do it? So are you saying that it's happening everywhere? In Europe and segregation is happening. Okay. At what level? Now segregation again, it depends on components, right? So there are levels of segregation. Okay.
That material is also segregated from the dry one and the electronic, and we can say the plastic is also separated. Very so good. That it can be it can be recycled,
right,
in the recycling industries.
Excellent. So now he's gone one step further to talk about the levels of segregation. Like that means it's not just wet and dry, but you can have electronic waste and so on, right? So if that segregation happens, really good. But how can they afford to do it? Like we also can do that, right? What's the problem? So the same. So everything boils down, probably that's our impression. Everything boils down to lack of awareness, lack of the system, and all. So they're blaming it on people, blaming it on whoever is managing it and all that. That's possible, that may be true, but that's again an outcome. Okay, the things are not working, then you get into that mode. Okay, that fine. You find out some way to discard your waste and all that. The main reason probably is like we are not even thought of how to treat our waste. Now, if you look at the waste that is generated in western part of the world or developed part of the world and the waste that we generate, they are quite different. Okay, right? I don't know whether you are aware of it, but here it gives some composition of the waste. You check our waste, our dustbin, and a dustbin in a city of say maybe somewhere in Hungary, okay, right? What is the difference, main difference in the waste that we generate? It has something to do with the lifestyle, right? Now in India also, the dustbin in any city, or I won't say city, like a place like IIT, okay, again city again you have variation, a place like IIT and a dustbin in any village, have you compared that? Huh? Interesting, no? Comparison of dustbins. Huh? Guess. What is the guess?
Suppose here you can have more of say packaging waste to get.
Perfect. Very good. Very good. Very good. And that is something which is happening in western part of the world as well. Okay?
Yeah.
You have more dry waste. You have more dry waste, right? And most of the times in India, like of course as I said in IIT of course or any slightly I would say lifestyle wise so called upper class, right, things are different, okay, like you have more dry waste. Whereas if you go to any slum or village, you have more wet waste. And if you look at entire population of India, that's the population is dominating, right. So our waste is different from the waste in developed part of the world. So whatever solutions they have come up with, they are not directly applicable, okay. So we have to find solution for our problem, right, and the technology would definitely play a very important role in this, right. And there is so much work happening, it's not that first time we found out all this, okay. So this is one, this gives some number, okay. Of course this newspaper is about couple of years old when we actually started working on this problem. What is happening to our waste? Much of it is going to dump yards, okay. We are not actually segregating it, we are not working on each and every component. Things have started happening of late because of the government's initiatives, Swachh Bharat and other things. And it's not just awareness, okay, it all depends on how much money government gives for such initiatives. That's very important. Talk to municipal corporations, okay, they have now some funds available, okay, to do something. Resources also matter, okay, it's not just awareness, right. So that's why rich countries are doing better than us, because like go and check the pain points of government officials, okay. Of course there is corruption and other things which are part of the system, but still we are running out of resources as well in terms of funding, in terms of infrastructure and so on, okay. So coming back to this, now look at Mumbai, so it's about, there are 3 dumping yards and it's again slightly older figure, okay. Devnar is taking now 4,100, of course, now the number has gone up, Mulund almost closed, Gora is closed down of late, and there is another one that is opened up which is very close to Powai, Kanjumarg, okay. And these are all in the middle of city, okay. What is the problem again, having dump yards in the middle of cities, you can imagine, for pollution and the residents won't like it and all that, though it's all waste that they have generated, but fine, they would say like why I should stay close to, because others are away from it and all. So take it away from the city, is that a solution? Transportation, cost, right. So we are, so why I am spending some more time on this is to say it's not an easy problem to work on, right. We have many issues, right, and when there is a challenge then there is definitely some interest in working to find out a solution, and Tata Centers started working on it. So we thought that we will look at IIT Bombay, okay. So first and foremost important thing is like we should have the data, information. Though I am living in this campus for the last 20 years, I started working on it, then only I came to know that fine, we are generating so much waste today. Till then I didn't know it. So even if you say I know everything about IIT, it's not that. So we started generating the data first, okay. So we have area of about 560 acres, population close to 25k, okay. Of course out of 25k, 2 or 3k would be floating population, like not permanently staying on campus. I am giving a number of trees that we have, that's coming, that's really important here. we have so many trees available, of course more than that, it is like a forest, but these trees are close to in the academic and residential area, okay. So, where are we now? I think we are somewhere here. Anyway, so these trees are generating garden waste. There are some trees inside we are not really taking care of, there is forest waste, okay. Those trees will be even 2 or 3 times more than this. So, what was our mission? Our mission was to do something in IIT, set it as an example, a role model, and come up with an integrated waste management facility for a campus of 25k population, which is like a town. Now, you may say now this is a very developed part of the Indian population, not necessary. So, we also have, it is not that we have only students and faculty, we have staff, everyone. So, from education background, financial background, we have of course, the proportion may vary when you go outside, but still we have people who are in every category, right. So, some learning will come out, but at the same time when we go out of the campus, we have to remember few things, right? And we started working on some wards in Mumbai as well based on this learning. So, develop a sustainable model and roll it out, that is more important, because when we presented this work to our committee, they said like Tata Center's funds are not for IIT Bombay campus, like so but the thing is like it is kind of understood that we do not stop here. Okay. So, we started this waste segregation, as somebody said. First of all, we collected the data, okay, lot of waste audit activities were performed. We developed an app. Now, if you go to IIT Bombay site on our estate office site, you will know how much waste we have generated today. That number will be updated in an hour or so. It is about 11:30, 12 o'clock data comes, but it is all. So, yesterday how much you collected, how much wet waste you collected, how much dry waste you collected. We want to go one step further and come up with even other levels as well. So, this app is given to our estate, public health office, and coordinator who is actually responsible for collecting the data is using it, okay. So, this was again some old figure, we still have more figures as well, but you can see how much waste we are collecting and all that. So, that data is, what I want to say is the data generation, data is important, and this has come out of that, okay. So, we have about 6 tons per day municipal solid waste apart from the garden waste, okay, that much generated in the campus, right, out of which 5 tons is a wet waste, 5 tons is a wet waste. So, again see, like compare this number with any European or say American community, okay, this number will be much less. So, how much is the wet waste out of all this? About 80%, right? Very large amount. We have so much student population, so we end up generating a lot of kitchen waste. And what facilities do we have now? We have a composting unit, which is again a small portion of it will be taken care of. We have a biomethanation plant. I do not know, we are arranging their visit to biomethanation plant? No. After this they will go to gasifier, right? Okay. Okay, fine. So, we have one more which is installed now, and then we have dry waste, out of which some is recycled. That means we have some people coming from outside and they are just segregating it, taking some useful part of that, which is really a good thing to happen, and we are taking care of about 25 to 30% of the dry waste. Ideally, it should go to 70 to 80%, okay. And there are limitations because they do not have many people working on it, and the way we collect the waste, as somebody said, it's in the mixed form, so it's dirty, wet and so on. So, difficult to really segregate and recycle. But what is important is about 5 tons is, when we started doing this exercise, 5 tons was going to dump yard, okay, landfill. And this is in a place which is good in terms of resources, okay, like we are getting some funds from ministry and all to maintain the campus and all, but still this is a situation because somebody said that there are no norms, or probably norms are coming but not are implemented rather, okay, and but things are started becoming bit stricter now, okay. So I will just quickly go through this before I start talking about garden waste issue. Biomethanation plant, we did studies, we analyzed the gas. Now what is biomethanation? It is just for information, it is becoming really popular nowadays, okay. Now what is biomethanation? Biogas generation. If you have biodegradable waste, there is a possibility to convert it into gas which is combustible, okay, which has more methane in it, as you can see. So it is like your CNG, okay. So if I separate this methane, I can use it for vehicles also, so bio CNG. There is huge potential there. And again, if you go to European countries, okay, especially Germany, okay, there are big, huge biogas plants running on agro waste, okay, and they are making use of this gas for many applications. So it can be used for cooking. Now the one that is generated here, it goes to hostels for cooking purpose. Now composting. Now why can't we, so just to understand the scientific aspects, composting is something that everyone knows. What is composting? Any biodegradable matter, I keep it for a long time, okay. After some time, like if it has useful bacteria, like it will convert to some compost material. Now what is compost? Compost is something that would help plant germinate, right. Sometimes people say it can be a substitute for fertilizer, it is a bit questionable. It is not giving everything that the plant would need, okay. But I would say it is a good soil enhancer, okay. It will definitely strengthen, promote the right fertilizer. It is like your, whatever you eat today, is it a good food always? No, it is not full of nutrients, right. So sometimes you have to take nutrients separately, right, something like that. But it can go in soil, it can go back to the soil, which is a good thing, right. So I am taking waste and converting into compost. Now what is the difference between this? Of course, do not look at these numbers and all, I do not want to get into technical details unless you are interested, okay. Now compare composting with biogas generation. Now what is the difference in these two? Shall we just compare quickly, both in terms of the theoretical aspects and its practical limitations and its economics. Can I just send everything to composting, the wet waste? Can I send everything to biogas? The processes are different. In biogas, typically you would have seen, have you seen a biogas plant? Huge. Why it is huge? Because you need to keep certain matter for longer time there. It is a slow process, okay. Composting is a slow process, both are slow processes because they are bio processes, okay. I am not putting any catalyst, okay, not chemical, I am not raising the temperature, nothing, okay, I am allowing it to happen, right. There is a way to increase the speed, but yeah, we can't go beyond a particular limit. So biogas, the way methane is generated, in this composting methane is not generated or not much. Biogas is anaerobic, that means I do not supply air, okay. So what happens is methane is generated, it is not combusted, right. If there is supply of air, then it will get burnt, right, and get oxidized, right. So I am allowing methane to form, and there are methanogenic bacteria which are used in biogas, okay, and you are able to make it. So the feed that goes to biogas plant, what is that? Typically the old biogas plants, they were running on cow dung, right. Remember in our villages everywhere you will see agriculture waste, I will come to that. Now the next level is kitchen waste. Now you started seeing biogas plants in cities also, right, which are running on kitchen waste. Right, yeah. So what is that waste? Compare that waste with the agricultural garden waste. Now both are organic in nature. The agriculture, what is agricultural waste? Like leaves, twigs, thrash, whatever. So, right. Compare that with your kitchen waste, waste food, cooked and right. And if you have more cooked matter, what do you eat? Rather, you eat carbohydrates, you eat proteins, and you eat fat or oil, right? This is an easy matter to get degraded compared to leaves. So look at our digestion system. So it's similar, right? Grass and all, not easy to digest, right? You need particular bacteria for that, right? Clear? So your protein and all are easy to degrade. That's why kitchen waste is a good feedstock for biogas. If I put leaves, grass and all beyond a particular limit in that plant, it will not degrade. Chemically, what is it? What is it? Leaves and grass, lignin, cellulose, hemicellulose, and big molecules, relatively stable, difficult to crack. Okay, right? So that would need even more time. So that's why biogas is easy to deal with, and you get good yield of methane. Whereas in composting, you don't get any fuel. You just leave it for quite some time. Okay. Maybe about 1 month, 2 months or so, and it will get degraded slowly. Some matter will get oxidized, and some will come to a state where your organic content has gone down, good enough for plants to now absorb the nutrients in it. Okay, that is composting. So which one is more, today's context, can you guess which one is better economics wise? Suppose I want to do business. Okay, which one I will go for? Biogas. Why? Yes, gas is a market. Compost has a limited market. Very good, right? Also, for composting you need use space because you have to keep it for longer time. Biogas needs also use space. So we have to come up with a solution which doesn't need space. There are alternatives as well. Okay, sorry.
Biogas will also have some kind of a waste.
It will have some waste generated. Yes.
We can also use that final waste into the compost.
Right, right. So only problem with biogas is need a good feedstock, right? You need a good feedstock. I can't just otherwise now people are even talking about third level of biogas generation where you use a very particular microbe which can break cellulose, lignin and generate methane. Okay, that started happening now, and there are many claims coming out. Okay, though I have not seen a plant which will only take agro waste and generate gas out of, unless you put some cow dung or something along with it. Okay, but if you have, now there is a lot of research going on to convert this hard stuff to methane. So breaking cellulose, lignin and other. Lignin is really impossible, but at least cellulose part of it. Okay, right. So good, let's move ahead. Now I will come to garden waste. We already said, no, like we have grass and other things, a difficult matter to deal with rather. What is the possible solution? Where else can I take this? If I take it to composting, yes, composting is probably I should go to when I don't have any other option, I would say, because compost doesn't have much market today, especially in cities. Unless government comes up with norm, and that's also started happening. Composting is being made mandatory in apartments and all. But people are worried, like I am making compost, where will I use it? in my own garden, but that there's not much requirement there beyond a particular point. And how many gardens are there? Like, okay, so that's a problem again.
So we can also segregate these waste to form the different kinds of the components. As the coconut seeds can be used for packaging materials, like food.
Very good.
Food articles.
Right.
And some kinds of the seed also have fallen down.
Yes.
We can also use to make the biofuels.
Biofuels.
These.
What do you mean by biofuels? Biodiesel.
Biodiesel is getting very popular.
From seeds.
Right.
And like many other components we can form by segregating this particular waste.
Good. So find some more values for this. Okay. So again, but then we have to see, like, in terms of volume that we are generating and the market that it has. Okay. So for example, you said about biodiesel, but we need seeds and we have to crush that and get oil and all. So how much volume will go to biodiesel? Of course, we have to explore that. We tried a lot in the past, somehow it didn't work because the yield of, in fact they tried to grow plants, okay, to generate oils which can be converted to biodiesel, right. But then that plant growth and all, whatever was anticipated didn't really happen, okay, to that extent. But again, yeah, still we should not write off biodiesel. There is a possibility of doing it. So find some niche applications, as you said, okay, for every component. Again, it's a matter of segregation. But what about, let me give you an garden waste, okay, the grass, leaves, twigs, broken branches. What will you do with that? And chemically, what is it? It's more your lignin, more lignin in it. What do you do with that? So find some applications for that, okay. Some immediate application would be again use it as a possible source of energy. It's carbon and hydrogen, no. So if you burn, you are going to get some energy. Burn whichever way you want to do it. Otherwise, find some niche applications where I can use it to make some boards or whatever, okay, which will get me more value and all that, right. But for that again, you have so much competition, okay, get into consumers market. Right. No, but then garden waste, will it be wet? Most of it is like leaves fallen, they are already dried, sun has taken care of. Now of course in the rainy season it's difficult because already it's raining and then it becomes wet again. But otherwise in a non-rainy season, this garden waste comes to you in a dried form, which is giving you some hint, okay, as to how to use it. You can use it as a fuel for thermal applications, okay. Wet waste goes to biogas or composting where you need moisture, whereas garden waste, if it is coming in dry form, if I send it to composting, then I am again adding moisture, okay. Why? No need, okay. As I said, that drying has already taken place. We are lucky, we use solar and sun drying, okay, already, right. So why can't you make use of, now you have dry waste available, okay. So you can use it for some thermal application, you can burn it directly or indirectly, okay, because I don't have to burn moisture because it is not there, not much, right. So the use for that would be where? If I burn fuel and generate heat out of it, where can I use it? Cooking purpose. What else? In industry you can use it. There are many thermal applications, heating something and all that. But industry means I have to sell it. I have to depend on somebody else. If I find a use in the community itself, it's better. See, I am managing the waste. Somehow there might be a question where you can get better value and all that, but sometimes it is not practical, okay. So fine. So about a garden waste component. So we look at the audit that we did, okay. So we looked at every tree that we have, how many trees we have for a particular species and all that. It's important. Why is it important? Because leaves from every tree, they are different, okay, right. The composition is different and it's going to affect me in my application that I am going to come up with. So it's important that we generate this information and data, okay. So now what do we do with the garden waste in campus? How much do we generate? It's about 3 to 4 tons every day. We are lucky, there's so much green cover here, okay, and we should make use of that. That's what I am saying. If I go out somewhere and try and replicate this, I may not get this much garden waste, okay. But now you have so much garden waste available, right? Try and use it, leverage that potential, okay, and I am coming to that. So much garden waste available. We have horticulture department, we have public health, and right now it is only going for composting, and I am going to run a clip now which will tell you what's happening with the garden waste, and then I will tell you about what the solution. In the clip also there is a solution there, listen to that, and then I will talk more about it in my next presentation. Now overall, if you look at a campus now, so we have come up with this integrated waste management plan where we have 2 biogas plants, okay. We have a garden waste management facility where we actually, this one, where we do make pellets out of this garden waste and use those pellets in gasifier for cooking purpose, right, in our hostel mess and so on. There is a composting facility, right, and there is plastic pyrolysis. So I have not talked about that. What do you do with the dry waste? There is so much plastic we generate, and that is a big problem. The best solution would be to recycle it. Recycle means what? Just collect it as plastics, okay. There are places where this is molten and converted in the form of resins, or sorry, in the form of beads, and which has a market value. So that recycle is possible. But what happens most of the times, like plastic comes in a wet form or sometimes blended and all with other impurities, okay. So that is not acceptable for, it does not have recycle value. So we have a waste plastic, okay. So we have a group working on pyrolysis of plastic, generating oil from plastic. That oil can be used as a fuel in burners. So there is in fact they have put up a small plant here, and it is being evaluated now. So plastic pyrolysis. So this facility is able to take care of all the waste of the campus, and it is being built now, okay, right. And the plan is given to institute, they have approved it, and they have given us space, and mostly in a year's time this will be functional. So I will run a clip now, or before that I will just give you some introduction so that it will be easy for you to understand what. So what are we trying to do about a garden waste, about my next presentation now, the garden waste, okay. It is a biomass, right, we are trying to generate the gas out of it and using it for cooking purpose in a gasifier. This is called as a gasifier. This is a solution that we have developed. Is it a new thing, that gasifier? People have been using it for almost 100 years, but only difference is we are using garden waste for gasification, which is a new thing, okay, right. And if you use garden waste, which is a low end feedstock, okay, which is not so easy to deal with, then we need to work on the design of this gasifier. We need to work on the technology development of this gasifier such that I can comfortably use this low end feedstock, that is garden waste, okay, for generating the gas. Now look at this gas. What do you have in this gas? Look at the components. You have carbon monoxide, hydrogen, CO2, water, methane, and ethane to some extent, and mostly it will be first 2 components, right. Of course you have large amount of nitrogen present because you are using air, I have not shown that, right. So this gas has a heating value because you have some heating. If I supply oxygen to it, then oxidation will take place, some heat will be generated, right. This heat will be much less than that in methane or biogas that we generate, but still it is good enough for doing something, example cooking, right. So this is gasification, but it is done at very high temperature, Biogas is very low temperature, very friendly, okay, biogas in this, right. But here you need an apparatus which works at high temperature and generates gas out of it, right. So the feedstock that is going to biogas is a kitchen waste, I can't use it here, right. The feedstock here is garden waste, I can't use it in biogas, simple. So as I said, there is no one solution, so you have to find different technologies which can take care of different components in the waste, okay. So how do we, so we have to make pellets out of it, we can't just throw garden waste and so that is all given in the clip. Can you just run the clip? It's kind of a break for you people, talked so much.
Spread over about 506 acres has had since 1958. These trees add to the beauty of the campus and provide shade, flowers.
So the idea is to use this garden waste, gasify it, use the gas for cooking purpose. And this is a clip again, we did it 1.5 years back. After that we worked on it, I will tell you the experiences. So idea was to use it in hostel. We already have made a trial in hostel, it is working very well. Now the problem would be, there are many problems in implementing it, and that is what I want to discuss with you, okay. But before that, now let us go ahead with the presentation, the technical part of it. So we do mapping, get garden waste, sieving, shredding, dryer if required, but as I said, like most of the time it comes in a dry form. We stop this activity in the rainy season because they do not collect it, then there is no use of doing all this, right. The collection also stops in rainy season, okay. So we initially thought that we will need a dryer, we bought it also, but now it is not required. So the entire activity goes on only in non-rainy season, like about 8 to 10 months, 8 months a year. Then we make pellets, and you are going to see all this, then pellets are then used in gasifier. The problems, so before that, like in fact the clip also says that a normal gasifier which is sold in market is called a Terry gasifier. Terry is the name of an institute which developed this gasifier. This is again Tata Energy whatever, so but then Tata's got isolated from it and became government institute. It's in Delhi, it works on energy solutions and it's a very well known reputed institute. They have come up with this gasifier, but which runs only with wood as a feedstock. Now what is wood? Wood is again mostly a biomass, but it has very low ash content in it, right. What is ash? Ash is inorganic matter, okay. That means if I burn fuel, everything else will burn except ash, right. And this ash is very low in wood. So when you burn wood, you would have seen there is some ash coming out, but that is very low. But if you take this garden waste, so very low means how much? About 2 to 3% maximum, okay. Whereas if you take this garden waste, depending on which garden waste it is, that is why I said that characterization is required, you may get at least 10% ash. Now 10% is almost threefold, right. So if you have jackfruit leaf, then it will have about 20%. If it is a rain tree, it is less, about 5%, 6%, okay. So there is a variation. So, but all said and done, like it is much more than wood. So when we use our pellets which have very high ash content in the Terry gasifier, we see lots of problems. First of all, this what will happen to this ash? How does this gasifier work? As the clip said, from outside it looks like a vessel, you are going to see that. We dump fuel inside, fuel means pellets or wood or whatever. We give air from here, start ignition. So there is this combustion zone developed, which is at very high temperature, and as and when the gas is formed, this is a reduction zone. So we are sending only small amount of air, not large amount. If we send very large amount of air, everything will combust or burn rather. Okay. So what is the purpose of air here? To generate high temperature, and at that high temperature, rest of the stuff gets converted to carbon monoxide and hydrogen, right? That's a principle. So partially combusted, and the rest of the stuff which is still has carbon and hydrogen in it will get converted to methane or CO or hydrogen and so on. Okay, and that's how you get a gas with calorific value, right? So what happens is, like, you have different zones created. So this is the combustion zone, which is at high temperature. The zone above that will experience this temperature, and some pyrolysis will happen, some volatiles will come out. Zone above this, even if it is dry, there is some moisture present which will go away because of the heat, and this is an important zone just below the combustion zone, where the oxygen is combusted or rather used in the reaction. Because of the heat, the carbon and hydrogen from the feedstock will get converted to carbon monoxide and hydrogen, and the gas will come out from here, ash will fall down, and you will have a burner on this particular string, right. Now what will happen if I use a very high ash feedstock in this gasifier? If you use high ash feedstock, what will happen is, in the combustion zone, since there is a very high temperature, it is about 1000 degrees centigrade or so, the ash will melt. Ash will melt, it will become softened, and it will come down somewhere and will get deposited on the walls of the gasifier, and slowly it will form a bridge. Slowly it will form a bridge, and it will obstruct the flow of the wood or whatever biomass that is coming down slowly as and when the combustion takes place. So then what will happen? The reduction zone, when actual reaction is taking place to form carbon monoxide, it will not receive the stuff from the upper portion, right. So you will have clinker, we call it as clinker formation. See, these are clinkers. See, this is the zone that is created, okay. If you have to press it hard to move it down, okay. So you have problems. This is a clinker. So there are many issues if you run the existing gasifier, which is available in market for this low end feedstock. Low end feedstock means our pellets, which are high ash, biomass, okay. So we worked on pelletization, we developed this particular gasifier, which has really overcome many of these problems, okay. So we have adjustable grade, and we have done some automation that clinker remold over. So even if we avoid formation of clinker, there is some small amount of clinker formed. So we have a door which removes the clinker, easy ash removal, uniform air distribution and so on. I will talk more about it in the later part of my presentation. Then you have gas solid separator, convenient ignition point and so on. So with this we tried it and compared it with wood. Of course, if you see the numbers, garden waste of course has low efficiency and so on, right. Clinker formation is also slightly higher, but still not bad, okay, because anyway you are using a low end feedstock compared to wood. We did material balance also. I am not getting into this diagrams. This is important, the material balance. Look at how much clinker is formed here. It is almost negligible that is coming out, okay, compared to the one that you would get otherwise. You do not have it here, okay. So otherwise it was about 4%, okay. If we use our gasifier, clinker formation has come down to almost very low, right. And with this, now the gasifier can be operated smoothly, okay, without much of a problem, right. We did some analysis of emissions as well, because people will ask us, like, if you are operating in cities or something, like how much emissions are there, how many emissions, like, because if you use LPG, such a nice beautiful fuel, no, it is very convenient rather, there are no emissions, and now you are using this stuff for cooking purpose, there will be emissions. So we looked at emissions, we did some analysis, we said about 3.5 hours, even if you work, it does not matter, okay. So of course, if it's beyond that, then there is a problem. So you should not be sitting in exactly opposite to your burner for more than 3.5 hours, which is a pretty long period, okay. Like your cooking cycle, if you see, no cook will sit for more than 3.5 hours in front of burner, okay. But still, in terms of users perspective, it is not so attractive, right, compared to LPG. So that is why now the problems I am just coming in terms of implementation. Now we did all this trial in the hostel, it worked very well, we ran it for about a few months, but cooks were not ready to accept it, right? And it is quite obvious, right, why? It is bulky, it is not user friendly, then low calorific value, yes. So now with this we tried, so okay, fine, now perfect, you identified the problems very well. Okay. Now sorry, yeah, I'll come, sorry, go ahead. So emissions, okay, very good, right.
So it contains carbon monoxide and ethene and CH4, which is also poisonous gas.
Right.
Sometimes if it leaks, then it causes
Very
many
good,
many problems.
feeding, continuous
feeding we have to feed.
continuous feeding, yes, very good, right. So you have identified the problems very well. So how do we solve them, or let's give up here, like very good, okay, good. So now there is a technical problem doing this, two problems as he said, because it is it has carbon monoxide, which is you storing it is a problem, like if you, in fact it is more dangerous than LPG. By the way, LPG is also not that friendly, so but then now see, like day in day out we are using LPG in kitchens, okay, like otherwise it is unimaginable, okay, like, but somehow the technology has gone to a stage and somehow the safety is so good in terms of handling LPG that we are keeping a bomb in our kitchen, right. So but still like we do it very easily, like without much of a kind of, sometimes we do not know that we are doing this. But anyway, coming back to monoxide, carbon monoxide is poisonous also. So like if there is a leakage or something, there is a, so if you store it, then the safety hazards are more than burning it immediately. So that is the reason we justify it by saying that you are burning it immediately, no. So there is no carbon monoxide. So that is why, like safety is not an issue, at least to some extent. If you want to do it on a very large scale and if you have enemies there, okay, trying to suppress what you are doing, they will definitely make this point, okay, at some point of time. Okay. On large scale, if you want to do it, people will definitely talk about this carbon monoxide, right. But let us leave aside that problem right now, but let us talk about other things, like it is bulky, okay, there is a soot formation, your utensils will get blackened, right. We try to solve that problem. In fact, I have another presentation on the burner design, okay. So we reduce the soot formation to a great extent by adjusting the burner design, okay. We specially designed a burner for this gas, but I must accept that I can't remove the problem completely, okay. We tried all that, okay. So, but then you can't get gas as clean as LPG, okay, right. So, somewhere we have to make compromise. So, what are we looking at? Are we looking at providing substitute for LPG, or are we looking at a waste management solution? We are looking at a waste management solution, okay. We should keep that in mind, okay. So, then we went, okay, we tried to convince management and all that, and so who is our stakeholder in this case? Who is our customer? Cook is a customer? Government or governing body, authorities, that's perfect. The authorities are our customers and not the cook. Cook is a user. Now his or her comfort level is important, okay. But somehow waste management is a bottoms up and top down approach. Somewhere they have to meet and then only your solution will be successful, right. User or cook will do it provided he or she is given some incentive. We tried that and it worked to some extent, right. Why? If I am giving some extra money to somebody and I ask him to operate it, as long as it fits in my economics, it's not a problem, no, like, right. How is the economics here? Have we thought about economics? It's good or bad in terms of money that's spent per kilocalories of energy that I am using? You are saving LPG, right. LPG is much more expensive because it's a waste, but I am making pellets, there is a cost associated with that, okay, don't forget that. Alternative? Renewable, right. So, but then always keep that in mind, who will appreciate this? When I say renewable, I am managing waste, who will appreciate it? Unless it is that money part is taken care of, like these all other advantages become less important in terms of, they are important, but less important in terms of implementing the solution. That is what we learned, right. So, talking about renewable fuel, less carbon dioxide emission, global warming, waste management solution, everything is fine, okay. But as I said in my first statement, it is not market driven, right. So, unless there is money, comfort, it would be difficult to implement, right. Somebody said that it has low calorific value. How do we solve this problem? Low calorific value. How do we? So it's like this. No, I'm convinced that this is going to help, but somehow there are many deterrents, many hurdles. So we should try and somehow solve this problem. So low calorific value problem. How do we take care of that? That is difficult, no? Like that comes along with, of course, we can maximize, but then still it is not as good as LPG or methane to that extent.
Adding some biological catalyst in the process.
So catalyst is not going to change the calorific value of the gas. It may increase the rate of reaction or something, okay, and your equipment will become compact. But I have to deal with this. The calorific value is 5 here. I can't go beyond 5. That's a maximum limit. We are able to get 4.2 or 4 or something, which is good enough. Whereas LPG is 5 times that. Okay, right?
Sir, why don't you use this system in water heating system of guest houses and hostels?
Right, very good. So, right, so try and see some uses, okay. See why we thought that cooking is because we are doing cooking anyway here, right. That may help. But now cooking is not probably working well. Let's assume it's not working well. Let's find some other application, water heating, okay. So, but if you look at the energy required for water heating and energy required for cooking, water heating is much less. You are raising the temperature from room temperature to 45 degrees centigrade, okay, or 50 maximum, right. And then you have to compete with solar. That's again another renewable, okay. And it's not a waste management solution, right. In fact, solar is creating waste, by the way, your panels and all the way you make, no, and at the end of life waste also is going to collect. But then fine, again it's very clean and all. So good, but alternate applications. In cooking itself is very important. I think you have to observe these things. Like we went and looked at that. Cooking itself, there is some low end cooking and high end cooking. I don't know how many of you probably must have done cooking, but then you are making chapati, you need to control your burner flame a lot, okay. But you are making rice, if you are boiling potatoes, okay, sorry in this I am talking about cooking and potatoes and all, but it is required, okay, that is why we need to not just talk about technology. So potato boiling, rice boiling and all, it's just continuous heating, okay, you do not need to really, it is not cook's territory. What is it? You just keep it on and then wait for sufficiently long time, and so first thing that we teach cooks is to cook rice and all, right, and then go to chapati and other things, dosa and all, right. So can we not use this stuff there, and that is what we promoted actually, it really worked very well, Now it is up to our management's decision to whether implement it or not. Overall economics entire report has been submitted. If it really is a top down approach, it really helps, okay. Of course you have to take it from bottom as well, so it is not that only top down works. Waste management, always keep that in mind, it is not market driven, so both push both the directions are important, top down and bottoms up, and somewhere they should meet, okay, then only it will work, right. So that is where we are as far as the implementation of this solution in campus is concerned, okay. So that is the story, we may have a look at what we have done and all that, and at some point of time we are hopeful that it would be implemented here, right.
What is the status as of now?
The status is we are making pellets in campus, and we have demonstrated it in one of the hostels. The report has been submitted to the Dean Infrastructure and Planning of IIT Bombay, who would actually take some initiative, and there is another Dean who would come in picture, is Dean Students Affairs, because it has something to do with the hostels and all that. We are not, so basically the solution is not for domestic cooking, please keep that in mind. Why not domestic cooking again? So if it does not work for community, why will it work for domestic? Because domestic is so easy and we are hard pressed for time and everything there. So we can't put a gasifier in house, okay, it is very difficult, at least in Mumbai. So or any urban settings. So it is community cooking. So so we are trying it in hostels only, right. So they have to take a call on that, right. But if you ask me personally, I do not have very high hopes, okay, unless there is so much pressure in terms of taking care of the waste. What are we doing with garden waste now? We are either sending it along with our municipal solid waste to dump yards, or we are just dumping it somewhere in the campus. It will have its own degradation happening, okay, it is not a very serious problem. What is the problem with that? Problem is like fire hazards, okay, dry waste lying at some and catch fire anytime, or as said in the clip, you have snakes, mosquitoes, all these issues. So if there is pressure from community, then the management would act, that is the way it happens everywhere, okay. So if it goes to a certain level, then probably we will look at this particular solution again, okay. But this is a sustainable solution, at least on paper, right. Why sustainable? Because there is not much money involved. I am in fact saving something in this, if you look at the entire economics, right. So where is the problem? Problem is in implementation. Probably it is not the right solution at a place where we are, right. Sorry. Yeah. There is another solution. Good, very good, very good. Right. But then whether it can be implemented here, it's a problem. Like, so there is something called as pyrolysis. So what we do it just take वो पुराने ज़माने में कोयला बनाते थे ना लकड़ी से, right? What did they do like? They used to take volatiles out. Same volatiles used to burn to generate heat. So then the entire stuff used to get converted only carbon. It's called as pyrolysis. It's called as pyrolysis. Okay, and that is also a very promising alternative. Agro waste. I am coming to agro waste. Okay, so there is another solution where you convert it to char. Okay, right, but that may not be the solution here. So what we are trying to do here, our approach was to see whether we can use it in the community itself. So that may be a sustainable solution. Okay, right. So that's where we are at, as far as the campus is concerned, or any urban setting environment or other where you have possible application for this. But then we thought that probably this is not the right place to put a gasifier, probably not the right place. We done our best, and still not, it's not that it's a failure or something, but yes, we have to accept it at some point of time. Okay, but then why can't we move out and look at something else? Okay, right. So that's where this agro waste issue came up. Okay, now there is a huge problem. In fact, it's a bigger problem than what we are dealing with. There is so much agro waste that we are generating in this country. And what is agro waste? Agro waste is, in terms of composition, it is similar to garden waste, right? It has lignin, it has cellulose, everything, right? And huge amount of agro waste is generated, and you know the problem Punjab and all, right? So that brings me to another presentation. We will just quickly go through it because so much background generated, but I will tell you the possibility of success more there compared to here. Okay, so then probably you will be able to appreciate. Okay, so to some extent I would say that we are stuck here as far as implementing the gasifier solution in place like IIT is concerned. Okay, but then you never know. Okay, tomorrow if there is some push to this, then probably things will work very well. Can you go to the next presentation? It needs a big team to work. By the way, this is numbers. We have about 10 people working on this project, okay, and different parts of this. Like one group is working on burner, one group is working on gasifier. The gasifier development work is almost over. Now the team is going out and doing field trials and all. So that's something I am going to talk about. Agro waste is. We have about half an hour, right, or 25 minutes. This is our gasifier, I do not need to tell you. Now, but look at this, where is this picture taken? And you see something here, what is this? This is chula, right, and this is in field now. This is in field. Now, we have gone from IIT to remote village in Vidarbha, place called Dharani, district Amravati, and that is where you have this chula, and this is what they have been using for quite some time over the years, and we have put this stuff there. Now, it looks quite big, again as you said, like handling such a gasifier, but somehow this is given quite encouraging results to us. You know the problem of agro waste. I do not need to tell you, there is so much agro waste being burnt, okay, and it is creating pollution. It is not just Punjab Delhi issue, it is issue everywhere. And what is the reason, like why they are burning this agro waste? Why are they burning it? So why do they want to get rid of it? Perfect, very good. Yeah. Perfect. Excellent. So that's the problem. Okay. So they have only small period, and they don't have time to wait. If nobody picks it up, they will burn it. Okay. and who will pick it up unless it has applications, right. So, we are finding applications for that. And again I am saying there are n number of things that can be done with this agro waste, and we are suggesting one, okay, and not saying that there is only one solution. So, we have to try out many solutions, implement many solutions at a time, because it is a mix that is going to probably solve the entire problem, okay, great. So, so you are doing some project on this as a part, oh very good, very good. So, I do not need to really talk much about problem as such, it gives some data how much agro waste generated and all, okay, I do not need to again dwell too much on this. India and our 2 states, especially Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, there is so much. Again need identification, where can we use agro waste? They are all possibilities. And in fact, they are better than what we are suggesting. Okay, one thing is of course cooking or heating fuel. Many villages they use it, especially the broken branches and twigs and all. Okay, which is more lignin, so they are more like wood. Okay, some of it can be used as animal fodder. There is a belief that I can burn it and prepare the land for sowing, okay. I do not know how good it is, I am not farmer, so but then there is so I have done so much reading, and sometimes it is not good for land burning it, because they feel that I am killing insects, but they are killing some good things also, okay, right. Possible. So, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Can be used as compost, but again as I said, compost has its own problem, you need large, and we are working on that solution also. There is another project going on compost with agro waste. In fact, if you go to F1 shed, you can show them a pit, okay, where we are doing efficient composting of agro waste and put some sensors and other things. But again as I said, like there is no one solution, so that is why like we are working on many other solutions as well. So, but then still there is one component of waste, okay, which can't be used as animal fodder, which can't be composted for some reasons, and which can't be used for cooking the way it is done now, right. That is why we thought that we will go for gasifier. So, now we have already developed solution, now we are kind of seeing whether we can push it there. See, sometimes you might have heard it, no, like probably Professor Narona would have talked about it, like need identification, it should not be a technology push, okay, it should be driven by the need, okay, then only there are chances of it being successful, right. But here is a slightly different story, okay, we already developed a gasifier and then we looked at the agro waste, we had that in mind, okay, but let us see how it works, because sometimes it may work, So, now they are saying, no, like we have so much waste, if government picks up, then we can definitely give it to them, okay, and they are saying like and should government or somebody should pick it at some cost. And again I said, like you just blame everything on government, right, you have to create some good ecosystem to take care of it. So, what we are suggesting, making pellets, there are some pictures, and there is an opportunity to develop a rural agribusiness. When we are talking about it now, already one of our project managers is sitting with tribal secretary, and we are trying to come up with some MOU, and we want to do a pilot in a district called Yavatmal, okay. So, somehow there are chances that this may go forward, okay. Anyway, I have told you about this. Is not required, not required. Now, now that you have talked about this, why do we need binding agent? Because your stuff is so dry and yeah, so we need to need something to bring everything together, right. Some moisture is required. The lignin itself acts as a binder. The pelletizer that we are using, it takes the stuff to relatively high temperature, and the science behind it is like every component, an amorphous component has a glass transition temperature. So, if you take it to high temperature, beyond the glass transition temperature, that component will soften, any amorphous matter. right, and when you cool it down again it will become hard, right, and it acts as a binder. So if you have any stuff which has a glass transition temperature of 50 degrees centigrade, good, okay. So luckily in agro waste or even the garden waste, we found that the lignin content has that property, so it acts as a binder, okay. But if you go for any fibrous material, say bagasse for example, you need a binder. So fine, you have raw material available, so much agro waste, people are ready to give it to you, okay, at a very reasonable price, huh? You have to find a market. So raw material available hai, right? You have to find a market for these pellets. Pellets we can make. Now where will these pellets go? But market should be stable, sustainable, okay, it is important. It is not that today I am able to sell some few tons of pellets, tomorrow the market has come down and then I can't set up a business on that, right, because there is some investment required. Huh? Paper for pellets? I am not quite sure about this, that those pellets should be fibrous, okay, for paper. Somehow the lignin content, right. So bagasse can go in paper very well, but this is, as I said, no, we are looking at a very low end stuff, okay. So if it was working, people would have used it, because paper is again a market driven kind of product, right. So I keep that logic in mind, okay, like if you are really thinking of very niche application, there are many people sitting out there looking at such a cheap feedstock, they would have done it much before, okay. So it is not happening means it is really a very, unless you do very high scientific research or very good quality scientific research and find out a niche application for it today, right. And right now the application that we are looking at is, again it is not a very big application, we are just looking at energy solution, okay. So as I said, like there are better possibilities, but we are not exploring them right now. So look at, this slide where we are saying that the present market is a small scale industry in which these pellets are used as fuel, okay, in burners, industry mein. Now industry, why would it use pellets? Again industry would definitely go by cost, okay, right. See, if they get a cheaper fuel, they will not use pellets. And what is the cheaper fuel? Cheaper fuel is oil based, you fuel oil, okay, that comes from refinery, right. And oil prices, if they go up, then the pellets would get market. If the oil price comes down, because it is quite fluctuating, right, it comes down, then I can use fuel oil in burners, right. So that is the problem. So market in the use of pellets in industry is not a stable market, right. Sometimes you will not get value for it. So I can't set up a plant to make pellets and just keep storing pellets, right, and there is a limit beyond that, and that is why many pelletization plants, they were set up in the past and are non-functional now. So that is another problem. When we go to government and tell them about this solution, the moment they hear pellets, they say no yaar kiya tha pehle, wo hota nahi hai wala, instead of understanding what we want to suggest. So sometimes you get a bad name, like that is what is like, that's something we are experiencing now, okay. So we are not going for industry applications. Can we use it for cooking purpose? So who is our customer now? Now we are again going to villages, like now forget about IIT and all, we use for cooking purpose. What do they use now in villages? They use either wood or LPG. I am talking about community cooking, again don't think of domestic cooking, okay, community. Now where do we do community cooking in villages or rural areas? Any idea? Community cooking? Government, ashram schools they say, government schools, they midday meals, right, dhabas and all, like that is community cooking, right, and it is a huge market by the way, like it is not small. So any school would have typically 300 students, okay, and their lunch, dinner, everything, right. But what do they use there? Either wood or LPG. Government has promised them LPG jayega, but then you can understand, okay, again like it has not reached everywhere. There are some encouraging signs that people are getting connections and all that, but again if they get LPG connection they will keep it with them but still use wood and all. So all these things are happening anyway. So that is a real fact, okay. But why will they use pellets then? Temples also, yes, possible, yes, yes. So I want to, yeah, so we probably talk about this, like customer, customer means like who is our customer, I said, like we, somehow I created a scene that we failed here, right, in IIT, as far as the customer, selling our product is concerned. Who was our customer? Customer was again like somebody who is used to this clean and nice lifestyle, okay, right, and then bringing some gasifier, not working there, okay. Again temples and all, like if they are already doing, the temples are again rich, most of the temples are, right, like go to Tirupati and they have enough money, right? Okay. So again they come in that category probably, and again selling this biogas, solar, steam, if they are using wood then they are our potential customers. So small temples probably, yes, yeah, we should explore that, okay.
They're also, I mean, big users of the pellets.
भट्टा मतलब किसके लिए?
Bricks.
हाँ, bricks, yes, 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 we are exploring that. Yeah, right, we are exploring that, yes. No, but then again brick making is again location specific, like you will not see brick making unit everywhere, okay, right. So but then we should try that, but again here we are talking about cooking. So wood का problem क्या है? What is the problem with the wood? It said here deforestation, right. Government is trying to reduce this forest deforestation, but there are limits again. If there is no fuel, what will people do rather? Like you make policies, you make rules and all, they're like they have their own limitations, right. So government also should have something to tell them, no, don't use wood. They would say, then what will you do? And probably gasifier, okay, right. So that's an, again see, coming up with this solution, we have to strengthen government to come up with implementation, so strengthen government in implementing their policies, right. LPG, you know the problems. See, I don't know this LPG, how whether you understood this problem of LPG. Where does it come from? It comes from oil refinery and all, right. It comes from oil refinery. Are we oil rich country? Right, we are importing so much oil. अगर पेट्रोल डीजल का सब चल रहा है ना, मतलब import bill is so high for us in oil, and at the same time government is promising villages that you will get LPG connection, right. So if you have to supply LPG everywhere in villages, imagine how much LPG we need. So government itself is in a, it's kind of paradoxal, like you have one side you want to reduce import bill, and on the other side you are telling everyone that I am going to give you LPG, right. So there is a problem, no, there is a problem, right. But then they have to do it for whatever reason it is, like political or whatever, right. That, yeah, possible, right. So what he is saying, good you made this point, say it can be used in industry again, but in industry application, one thing is they need fuel on very large scale, right. So here making pellets on very large scale, you need a big plant, very big plant. So this decentralization will be a problem. See, the moment you go to high scale, you need to source your raw material to that scale, right. If I am making say 100 tons of pellets every day, I need 100 tons of biomass coming to my plant every day, right. And that the problem is in biomass collection, okay. Pellets, briquettes, paddy, huh? Right. So how much they are using? So right. So, some of the cement industry is using even municipal solid waste. Okay, right. This is the RDF we say, no, plastic and all they are using it, cement kiln. But there is a limitation, I am telling you. So they are situated at some place and they are far away from. So think about somebody who is about 400 kilometers away from a cement kiln or cement factory. Transport would become a big issue. So I am not saying that is not a solution. That maybe, see, in fact cement factory if आपके city के बाजू में है ना, it's really good for waste management. Okay. हाँ. No, but transporting your waste would again need diesel, right? So let us see all this. Huh? No, but I understand. So wherever there is a possibility, you should explore that.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, right. So so places like Indore, MP में बहुत सारे cement factories है. Indore got Clean City Award.
Yes, sir.
Why? They have some cement factories around, right? They are able to absorb all this. Of course, the credit to people who are like actually managing it and all, but at the same time they are able to dispose their dry waste very well through cement factories, right? Because cement factories, cement kilns, they operate such a high temperature, can absorb all that stuff. Okay,
Yes, sir.
right? So it's working very well. So somewhere you have location specific advantages, you should explore that. I am talking about place which is remote, like tribal ministry, tribal part of that. So how will you get access to these facilities? Because we start far away from that, right? So your solution that you suggested is perfect, okay, but then that may not be applicable everywhere. That's what I am saying, and this is also not applicable everywhere. I am talking about, again, as I said, one possibility. But then you have to think about the cost of the pellet, right? If the pellet is cheaper, then it's going to work, otherwise it's a problem. Okay. Now, how do we use pellets for cooking? I said gasifier, people will just burn that. What's the problem? Even if you haven't supplied, but I am saying now you should use that gasifier. If you just combust it, wood is cheaper, but it will release volatile, it will increase emissions, right? And you have efficiency issues also. But if you use gasifier, you actually proved it with numbers and all, the emissions are reduced and the efficiency is increased. It becomes almost double, okay. I have some numbers I will show you from our field trials. So can gasifier be used as a at household level? No, I already said this, because there are operational issues, inconvenience, but community cooking space like school, canteens and hostels, we can explore that. So these are some pictures where we went and actually had a look at the state of their kitchens. Many places they are using chula, somewhere they are using LPG, right. So we thought that we'll do some field trial here and see what happens. We'll take our gasifier and put it there, okay. What is the challenge in implementing gasifier technology in villages? There, as I said, on wood they are available, so we have to come up with our own gasifier. I am going back to our solution. So the existing gasifier we revamped, okay. We made pallets of agro waste, okay. Clinker formation is reduced. In the existing gasification we have this problem. So our gasifier, which is a solution now, is working well, right. And again, as somebody said, you can see the blackening of utensils and all, but it's okay in villages, right. This is much less compared to what they get in wood burning, right. You have to find the right customer, okay. So I am not saying, see, it's like they also, it's not that we should provide them worse solution or something. LP is always good, but unfortunately it's not available. What we, at least better than what they are doing now, okay. So this is our model. So we have a central pelletization system. Pellets will be, so from agro waste will come and will go to different places where it will be used for cooking purpose. So ashram schools and community cooking places and so on. And we worked on that actually. Sorry, I'll just, so I won't spend much time on development of gasifier. There is so much work we have done. In fact, we have published some international papers also on this. Why I am telling you? Because it's not that it is just applied means आपको कुछ scientific advantages, मतलब उसमें कोई research scope नहीं है. It's not like that, okay. So on one side I have PhD students working on this, looking at flow patterns and everything in the gasifier, because it is a very challenging problem from technology viewpoint also. Okay. So we have done computational fluid dynamics and other things. Some of the slides will be repetitive, but you can see this is something that we got from simulation. So you get hotspots somewhere. And
sir, what is the cost of pelletizer per kg?
So I am coming to that. I am coming to that. It comes out to be 5 to 6 rupees maximum.
Okay.
So so we try to reduce those hotspots and all, and we change the operation procedure. That means we do ignition here and later on change our air feeding location to somewhere in the upper portion of the gasifier. Because of that the hotspots are reduced, and we will track the temperature profile. So I operate it in dynamic mode and so on. And as you see, like here you have less compared to what we get here. See the clinker 0.35, whereas it is 0.02. Emissions, so this is the number. This has come out of the field trial. In Chula, presently they are using 14 kgs for the same duty. Same duty, when we put a gasifier, the amount of biomass required is 8 kgs. The time for cooking also increased because efficiency has gone up. Okay, the rate of transfer of heat also has gone up. Chula, they needed 70 minutes for that cooking operation. I think it is rice boiling, where here it happened in 60 minutes. They save some time. Now what will they do with the saved time is again the question. Where again see, these are very interesting outcomes. Like the cooks there were a bit hesitant when the cooking time got reduced. They said अभी time बच गया तो हमको ज़्यादा काम देंगे. Give us some more work. So they become sabatier. Sabatier मतलब they try to see that somehow it doesn't get implemented. Okay, so all these issues come. They are very interesting. And then, but then somehow the manager was so convinced and he said, no, karna hi hai. Okay. So I have, I'll just take 5 minutes more. So coming to economics. Now we have to look at the entire model. Okay, so what we are proposing is we are making pellets at center place. We'll procure biomass. It's not available free of cost. Okay, farmers also should get benefited. Okay, so again we say like we should not exploit farmers. Like the bio waste is generated, but if they get some value for it, they will definitely give it to us, right? So we incorporated all that. Okay, so this is some data. So survey of farmers and the associated problems we worked out, and so economics of pelletization. This is something that, so production cost of pellets is 5 kgs, okay, and the machine cost for pelletization is about 15 lakh, right. So the payback period we calculated because we have to go to bank for loan. Okay, so we have to tell them payback period कितने साल में पैसा वापस आएगा and all that. So it's about 3 years, which is quite good. Bank would accept that while giving loans. There are some problems because it's an unorganized sector and all, so those problems are there. So somehow the government should support and should be enough willpower to do that. Gasification economics. So the pellets, we calculated energy cost and all. So 1 kg of LPG is equivalent to 4 kgs of pellets that we already seen, and the typical consumption is this about 30 kg in a school. And out of that, if you just, again we are saying don't replace everything by LPG, but now the recent field trials, the manager is so happy that he says he wants to change over to gasifier completely. But we said instead of 30 kg, we partially replace LPG by 10 kgs, then also saving will be this much. Cost of the gasifier is about 1.5 lakh. So that's incorporated. It's a big, slightly bigger amount for village kitchens and all, but anyway they would get loan for that. Okay. So we tried all this. There are some recent pictures that I have not included. We made chapati also, everything now on this. See, it's a matter of getting used to it. Okay, and we transformed their kitchen actually. So now they are using gasifier on day-to-day basis. We are keeping track of what they are doing. And with this we went to forest ministry and then said that we want to do it on a village level, and they have given us this village, and the proposal has been submitted, and we are waiting for the funds, right. So that's it. Sorry, I had to rush towards the end because we are running out of time, but if you have any doubts and all, we can definitely discuss in the afternoon session. And but still we can still spend some 5 minutes, right, if you have any quick questions rather.
If we wish to install this, so in our village and our community places, so what we can do?
So first thing is, as I said, no, again start from scratch, in the sense like you have to do survey as to how much biomass is available, and whether there are schools or any community cooking places nearby area. So, so our team is expert in that now. They have done it for 3-4 places. Okay, so unfortunately the main person is out of station. As I said, today is somewhere else. But then we can sit and actually work on this.
Yeah, as a part of a startup.
So here startup is one. There is a possibility of two startups here. One thing is to provide an entire solution.
Yeah.
And the other one is pelletization plant itself.
Yeah. Okay.
Fine. All right.
Can this gas is used with mixed with LPG and to store?
Very good. In fact, we tried that actually. So mixing. So see what happens. No? Like if you have LPG, then you can have mixture of these two.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So that's possible, but you need to have a specially designed burner for that.
Yes, sir.
Because the requirement for this gas, as far as the mixing with air and other things are concerned, and the requirement of LPG, they are different. So you should have a hybrid burner, okay,
yes,
which will work on both. Another possibility is let's just mix LPG in this,
yes, sir,
before it goes to the burner.
Yes, sir. Yes,
right. Sir. So we tried many things. Actually, we thought that
that can be work, sir.
Right, that can work, yeah. But in fact, we tried this also. That startup of gasifier is a big problem. Big in the sense, earlier it used to take 5 minutes. Now we have brought it down to almost 1.5 minutes. But still, you need to do some manual work. So what we thought that initially we will just start it with LPG, pure LPG, and then switch over to gasifier slowly. Yes, so with that, the emissions also get reduced. So many possibilities exist in this.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I have an idea, like already in thermal power plants we are using coal as a primary fuel, right? And it is also being transported from a far place.
Yeah.
It is not available on the site always, all the time. Then in case of pellets, we are not having that mass production plants, but if we can develop such a, like on
the
multiple
main
locations.
Constraint there is, see, coal, no, luckily it is available in mines at one place.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Biomass is available, is distributed.
Yeah, but
so so you have a plant, you source biomass from every place and then supply it. Okay. So that sourcing of biomass is a big constraint, but slowly we are going to that that mode of operation.
But I think like it's not like an impossible thing.
It is not impossible. Yeah. But then it takes time, logistics and other things, no, transport and dealing with individual farmers, and we need bodies to actually manage this entire stuff. So biomass sourcing is always kind of a risk in this, because if you don't see, you set up a plant, you are running it continuously, ensuring the feedstock supply on a regular basis is a big thing. Otherwise, your plant will shut down, startup problems and all that, because they are continuous plants, right? Thermal power plant.
But
if you
again,
go to
at
that
thermal power plants, we are having some like storage of that coal. In case the coal supply is
right, but
yeah.
even if you have storage, no, if you don't have continuous supply, then somewhere you will hit this issue. So
Problems
I
are
agree
also
with
there,
you.
yes, sir.
On
Yes,
paper,
sir.
it really looks perfect. Okay, but then and that's why like it didn't work to that extent for biomass. So whenever you have sugar factories, it works very well. Why? Because bagasse, when you crush sugar cane, you get bagasse then and there itself, right? So they are using bagasse to generate power. That has worked very well. Might not work for agriculture. So, but yeah, we have to create a system around it, and it may happen. It may take some time. And so far, this coal and other things have been so cheap. So again, the economics comes, transportation, and right. But good point. Yeah.
Is it like the size of the
It's important from the gasifier point of view. Yeah, yeah. So it says about 1/10 of the diameter of the gasifier. Otherwise, what happens if you have bigger particles inside a gasifier? They will form a bridge. Okay, I want them to move down. As and when say some consumption happening, entire bed should slowly shift down. Okay, वो ऐसे ही hang करके रहेगा ना बीच में, तो then there is a problem. If you have bigger pallets, no, somehow they may form bridge. Okay, so the pallet size is crucial.
like we are using for fluidized bed boilers, we use rice husk. Something like we can have a smaller pallets. Can they be fluidized? No.
Fluidized bed, yes. See, the problem with fluidized bed is like, see, here we are giving a solution to a layman. Layman in terms of he's not a technical person. He would be a cook or somebody, right? So, running a fluidized bed for him would be a big thing. Okay. So, fluidized bed option will work only on
In
larger
industry,
scale,
yes,
industry,
industry.
with very proper control systems and other things. Okay, right. So, this is a very friendly, that way friendly, not as friendly as LPG, but compared to any other reactors, okay, this is much easier, convenient to use, down drop gasifier. It's proven, people have used it in the past also. So, somebody who doesn't know anything about gasification can operate it very well, right. Fine, thank you very much, thanks.